2.
Call this meeting of the Unity Improvement District Board to order. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't expect this big a crowd, but it's good to see this happening. The first thing on the list tonight, well, apparently we have 2 applications to record the meeting from Ms. Janet Thomas and Mary Reynolds. Jack's over there. Okay. I have to read this preamble here for these recordings. Whenever and wherever possible, requests made by an individual member of the public who is not a trustee, not to be recorded, should be directed to the chair in advance of the meeting. The chair will communicate such requests to the gallery accordingly. Where advance request is not possible, authority will reside with the chair to direct filming or recording to be stopped in order to protect the privacy of a member of the public addressing the board. The board reserves the right to request that any recording that disrupts its proceedings or contravenes this or any other board policy be stopped immediately. Minutes of the meeting will record that such direction was given. Questions from the public will be received at the end of the agenda during the landowner's question period. I'd like to remind everyone that this is a Board of Trustees meeting and is to conduct the business of UBID in a public environment. Once the UBID business is complete, we will have questions from the public in an orderly fashion. They have to be questions and can be addressed to individual trustees, but must be addressed through the chair. And I would appreciate it if you would state your name and your address before putting forward your question. Okay? Okay, now we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. So can I have a motion from the board to adopt the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to accept the agenda. I second it.
Okay, motion by Trustee Benton, seconded by Trustee Lawson to adopt the agenda. All those in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, please show your hand. Okay, therefore the agenda is adopted. The next, well, we don't have a delegation, so we'll move on to number 4, approval of the minutes. We had a committee of the whole and an in-camera minute from July 18, 2017. Could I have a motion to adopt the minutes from that meeting?
Motion to adopt it. I second.
Okay, motion by Trustee Lawson to adopt them, seconded by Trustee Benton. Therefore, we can take a show of hands on approval of the minutes from July 18, 2017. All those in favor? Okay, fair enough. Then those minutes are adopted. All right, now we move on to business arising from regular or in-camera board meeting minutes and reports. So, Gordon, Mr. Mason, we'll start off with you, your CAO's report.
Okay. So this report basically covers from the July 15th period to today, July 27th. And first of all, I'm going to talk about our water billing and financial accounting program. And we use just for there's a lot of new people here, so I'll kind of start from the beginning, give you guys a little bit of history. Currently, we're using a very old system back from basically 2002 or 2003, somewhere in that area. It's called Right Water, and it's a very old, antiquated system. And what happens is we have to integrate Right Water along with Sage Accounting, which is our current accounting system, and they don't integrate. They basically don't talk to each other. So what it causes us to do, from myself and Gloria in the office, we have to do a lot of these accounting, a lot of the accounting and bookwork stuff manually. So we literally go into Right Water, we print off these huge reports, we take them over to over to Sage Accounting, and we have to manually put in all the information, like all the journal entries and all the basic stuff. And it just takes forever. It's so inefficient, it's so ineffective, and because Right Water is so old, it just doesn't run very efficiently. It hasn't been updated very well over the years, and it's causing us significant amount of inefficiency. So, and just from my background, I have a business background, and I did a lot of business cases through other utilities for Forest BC and for TELUS on how to make things run more efficiently. And so I took some time and I looked into a few different options, and I checked with some other colleagues that I've met through on the island here that are working in similar size improvement districts, and 3 of them are looking at moving to this VADM software. And what it is, VADM is a combination of accounting and billing software. So it basically does both of the jobs for us. And so Cedar and the Cowichan Lake area, not Cowichan Lake, Cowichan Valley area, Cowichan Lake area are moving to this new software. So we were originally thinking about jumping on board with them, but I realized that we really can't move that fast from a improvement district perspective. So what I'm going to look at doing is putting together a bylaw for approval sometime late in the fall, like November, December type time for approval, to get the money to make the initial purchase of this software. And then we'll get everything in place so that in January of 2018, we'll be able to go with the implementation of this new software. And there is an approximate, some of the landowners have mentioned that, you know, there's a maintenance and operation cost of approximately $5,000. And it seems like a lot when you look at the initial number, but if you look at what we're paying right now to maintain the software that we have with Right Water, and also the the accounting software that we pay an annual fee as well as every time we need anything extra, if we have to call them, we have to pay for that as well. So I don't think we're going to be far off of $5,000 annually for the operations and maintenance cost of the VADM software. And just the efficiency savings alone annually will far make up for that $5,000, because right now we're having to bring in a bookkeeper to help us straighten out the books to be able to get everything ready for when we have our audits in early January. So that's where we are from that perspective. As far as the water filtration project, and what I'm going to talk about, not so much the agreement with KIP, I'm going to talk about the actual, what type of filter system we're looking at purchasing. And we put it out an RFP or a request for proposal for a water filtration plant based on the size of Union Bay Improvement District. And we got back, when we put it on Info BC, which is where anybody would go to look for that type of work for municipalities, regional districts, cities, all that information goes on there. So we put an RFP out for a water filtration plant, and we got 2 responses back. One was from No. Anyways, and the other one was Napier Reed. And, yeah, AWC. They're a company in Surrey, and they've installed a number of different plants all throughout British Columbia, but mainly on Vancouver Island and the Lower Mainland area. And currently they're building plants in Sayward around the Port Alberni area as well. So we also went out to Salt Spring Island, and we looked at 2 different DAP plants there, and that would be similar sizes to this, and they work very well. Like they were drawing water from a small lake that had much more natural biological products in it compared to what the water we're getting from Langley Lake, and I was really impressed with them. But we also looked at another company called Napier Reed, and when we received their proposal, we've had to go back to them 3 different times to be able to request the information that we require to be able to compare apples to apples with regards to the actual request for proposal, because they missed, when I went through it line by line, they had missed an awful lot of items. Simple items like tax number 1, provincial sales tax, 6%, right? You know, when you're buying something for $500,000, 6% adds up. You know, that's $36,000, right? So little things like that. They didn't add in the chemicals that for the first 3 or 4 months to be able to get the thing going. They didn't add the filter elements in. They didn't tell us that it wasn't steel, but that it was steel and it wasn't aluminum. There was an extra upgrade cost for that. So we put a lot of homework in to make sure we got the right prices so we could compare apples to apples. And now we basically have everything ready to go. And so what I'll be doing in the next couple of months is I'll be making the recommendation to the board on which plant to purchase. And I can't really talk about too much about that because it's still very much in the RFP process. And when we get there, we will bring an announcement to the board. But let's just say that one of the companies is a local BC company. They have a number of different plants on Vancouver Island, on Salt Spring Island. They operate these plants everywhere. And every place that I've gone to that I've phoned and talked to, they're very, very impressed with these plants. And like, it's amazing, like, this dirty water goes in and it comes out crystal clear, and they have an excellent plan for dealing with, and excellent methods for dealing with fluid and stuff that comes out of it. So really, really impressed with them. So the next steps will be from once the board decides on which plant we're going to go, then we'll go back to that supplier and we'll ask them to supply the actual detailed drawings of how the plant's going to work and how it would fit into our plans. And they would supply that information to Coors Engineering. And then Coors would basically build the design of that plant into our proposed water plant buildings and how it would fit together. Because basically you have a filtration plant that filters the water, so it takes the water from the lake in and it comes out, you know, this nice crystal clear product. But we need other tanks to be able to deal with the wastewater and stuff that goes along with it, because some of this wastewater goes into certain settling tanks, and then we can recycle that water back into the plant again. So it's a really slick system. Really impressed with it. So once our RFPs have been approved from both the building of the plant or the selection of the plant itself and the construction of the plant as well, we will have to look at I'll produce a financial plan, and then we will have to look at which will include borrowing some money, and it's going to be probably in the range of about $1.5 million. But it's really hard for me at this point to nail down really any kind of an accurate number until we get some of these hard costs back. Like, we have a rough idea what the DAP plant is going to cost, or the dissolved air filtration plant is going to cost, which is basically the water filter. It's it's in the range of about $500,000. But we have to go out and we have to build the rest of the plant to go around it, right? So are the buildings, the holding tanks, possibly a reservoir and a settling pond as well. So all these components fit into the actual plant itself. So then we'll have to get the exact costing on that. And once we get that, then I'll be in a position to build a financial plan, and we'll take it to a financial institution and we'll look for funding. And there's other steps involved there, like what kind of approvals we're going to need in order to get that funding. But at this point, we got to walk before we run, right? So we got to establish a few things first. We got to we have to actually pick the DAP plant, we have to get our drawings made of what it's going to look like, and we have to do all that and figure out the financial cost before we can take any other steps. So that's it from the actual DAP plant project perspective, or the water filtration project. The next thing that I've been spending an awful lot of my time with is dealing with the Vancouver Island Health Authority in order to do the right things from our perspective to be able to let them know exactly what's going on. So I've been meeting with the Health Authority probably twice a week. Not so much face-to-face, but over the phone. And so John Hillis is our representative for this area, and I give John a call, and I update him on our progress with where we're going, and they're very supportive right now to see the direction that we're going in, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in my next portion here. But yeah, so they're happy with where we're going and the progress that we're making, and so we don't have too much to worry about at this point from the Vancouver Island Health Authority. And so I've been telling them about, you know, where the progress with the DAP plants, the progress with the properties, and the progress that we've made with Kensington Island Properties regarding a water service agreement. So I'll move on to that next because it's kind of a logical flow here. So I met with Brian about 2 weeks ago, Brian McMahon, and I met with Jim Madison, who is the facilitator from the provincially supplied facilitator from the provincial government. And we met with Brian and James Madison in Nanaimo, and we went through the water infrastructure agreement that Brian brought forward to us, and it's probably about our, what guys, sixth or seventh revision of it now, so 7th revision, and so we went through it, and I brought back the feedback to the board, and we met at a COW meeting on July the 18th, COW/in-camera meeting, and it was, we basically went through every paragraph by paragraph, to make sure that it was the right agreement for UBID and the landowners of Union Bay. And so I took all of our comments that we put together in that meeting, and I incorporated them into one document. And I very clearly highlighted, you know, where the changes are, and I sent them back to Kensington Island Properties and Brian McMahon, and I guess it would have been the end of last week. And so we've been going back and forth on, because there's only about 5 or 6 sections that we actually had to change on this one. So, and they were really, they weren't nearly as big as, let's say, as some of the other stuff we've had to change in the past. And I'll run through the highlights of it in a second here. I know you guys are waiting to hear this stuff, so I'll run through some of the highlights in a minute of those points. And but Brian was supposed to have an agreement back to me this week, and I was a little disappointed when I didn't get anything yesterday. But it turns out when I finally got a hold of Brian McMahon that he had a family emergency, and I won't go into any more detail than that. But I know what the family emergency is, and it's absolutely a family emergency. So he was having a hard time, you know, going back and forth with his lawyer to be able to just get the wording quite right from our perspective. So we should have something back from him in the next day or two here. So some of the highlights from the agreement, from the water treatment agreement is we'll basically have 5 years to decommission our current water treatment plant after we deliver water to Brian's subdivision. So that gives us a significant amount of time to be able to decommission our old plant, move our reservoir over to the new site, and so we'll be able to build our new plant, we'll be able to allow the existing plant to stay in place, and we'll have 5 years to be able to basically decommission that property and bring it back to a reasonable state for Brian and Kensington Island Properties. We'll establish, because we can't, we'll establish a long-term lease agreement for the two different properties with Brian in the short term for both the water treatment project, or water treatment plant site, which is on the corner of McLeod and Musgrave. In the agreement, we've got approximately 4 acres approved. So tentatively right now, we're planning on 1 acre down McLeod, and then kind of 4 acres going straight back. So it's like, so basically 4 1-acre plots, right? That goes straight down Musgrave. So that's kind of our tentative plan. And the board's given me approval to get Coors Engineering up there, and they'll be up there next week, laying it out from a survey perspective, and we'll also be digging test holes for both from a seismic perspective and also from for septic as well. So they'll just be digging some test holes to figure out what is the best location in that area to be able to put a building, you know, a reservoir, 3 to 4 holding tanks, and a settlement pond. So, and what we would really like to be able to do as well is to be able to keep a green space around the outside of the plant to be able to allow some so it'll really fit nicely into the environment and some of the future plans of canal projects. And then once the developer or KIP receives their subdivision approval from the CVRD, then that's when that piece of land will be subdivided off, and it will be basically transferred to us for $1. So we'll get that 4-acre piece of land on the corner for $1. So, and also we'll also get at the same time, we'll get the fire department land as well. So that's another 3 acres that we're planning on getting, and that's just off of you know where the log cabin is on the Passing Lane? It's right in behind there. That would be the tentative location in that area for the new fire department, which is great from an access perspective for getting onto the highway and accessing the community. And it's only, you know, a kilometer up from where we currently are now. So. And KIP has agreed that when this agreement is signed, to pay the development costs to basically upsize the water treatment plant because we have to build a water treatment plant to serve our current community from a Vancouver Island Health Authority perspective, because our current water treatment plant isn't meeting the Vancouver Health Authority requirements. So we have to build a water treatment plant anyways. So what KIP is going to do is they're going to pay the upsizing costs for future use from his perspective. So I think his first plans for subdivision is going to be about 30 to 50 lots, somewhere in that area. So we'll be able to easily serve that with the current water treatment plant that we're going to be building. And then for the future, he's going to pay for all the upsizing of the plant to be able to supply his future requirements, and he's going to pay that up front. So that's going to be a significant bonus for us because we're going to build basically a building that's going to be big enough for two plants. So we're going to have one plant here, then we're going to have the piping in the ground for a second water filtration system. So we'll build approximately a 14 liter per second water filtration plant in the building, and then we'll have all the piping and all the flanges and all the electrical stuff and everything ready to go. So we can basically bring in another water filtration plant down the road when we need it and basically bolt it into place at the developer's cost. And so that's basically how that's going to work. And we'll receive that money up front on the developer will agree when this agreement is signed to pay the development costs of the water treatment plant represents the requirements of the subdivision requirements. And then after, like, when he starts developing his lots, he'll get his money back through his CEC credits. So every time somebody connects to a lot, like if I was going to build a house anywhere in Eden Bay, if I bought a lot, and I was going to build a house, I would have to pay $8,900 to the Eden Bay Improvement District to be able to do that. And that's how what we use to be able to maintain and put our infrastructure in place to be able to support us. And so every time Brian puts his lots in place and the houses connect, we're going to get our $8,900 back. And so he's going to basically give us the money up front, and he'll receive his money back every time each lot connects. Okay, so that's, if you have questions, can you just hold them till the end? So, the next thing is bylaw 270, amending bylaw 263, which is our office or our meeting procedure bylaw, but mainly around the recording of the meetings from an audio video perspective. So I'm just going to basically read through the changes that we're amending. So what will happen in the future? We are going to have probably have a vote later on tonight. Public meetings of the board will be recorded by the Union Bay Improvement District and posted on the website. So basically, I'll be responsible for recording the meeting. I'll probably just set up a camera right in the middle here that will be able to take in the whole meeting, and we'll record our own meetings. Meetings or parts of the meeting from which the press and or public are excluded may not be filmed or recorded. There shall be no recordings of the gallery or individual members of the public, particularly minors. And whenever possible, requests made by an individual member of the public who is not a trustee, not to be recorded, should be directed to the chair in advance of the meeting. The chair will communicate such request to the administrator or is delegated accordingly. Where advance request is not possible, authority will reside with the chair to direct filming or recording to be stopped in order to protect the privacy of a member of the public addressing the board. So basically, if somebody asks specifically not to be recorded, the board will ask me to shut the camera off. I'll shut the camera off. I'll take notes myself on what that landowner said to make sure that it's recorded in the meeting. And we'll ask people when they come up to ask questions, or when they ask a question, that they first of all state their name, their address, and then that they are a landowner of Union Bay, and then we'will make sure that and this is more around the privacy rights of the person. So, and recordings of the board will be the property of UBID and may not be used for any other purposes without the express written permission of UBID. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that the following day or a day or two after the meeting is complete, that we will. I was talking to our web person, and he said that once I record the meetings, the best thing to do will be to post those recordings on the YouTube site, and then we'll supply that link from our website to the recordings. So it'll be basically everybody will have access to the recordings probably the day or two after the meeting itself. And regarding the outstanding parcel tax and water toll payments, this issue was brought up at one of our committee of the whole meetings, And the direction I've received from the board is to not look at using a third-party collection agency to go out and try and collect some of these, some of the outstanding water tolls and parcel taxes. And from what I understand, the previous administrator, Kevin Duval, had a really good way of doing it, and it worked quite well, and he was very successful at it. So I'm going to take some time